pretty cool the way they're teaching. I need some volunteers. Yay. I think everyone could volunteer for this one. So you be the J, I'll be the O. We probably do this as they have them hold the letters. You can be the E. Yay. P. H.
Oh, out of order.
Yeah. No, I put them out of order.
You gave away the O.
Joseph. So, give me the O. That's a fun one. So, this is Joseph is our person for today. And we're going to be in Genesis chapter 37. Genesis chapter 37. And a few of us will want to have our Bibles. And in Genesis chapter 37, we'll be reading some passages. And the first one is going to describe who Joseph was. We'll have somebody read like 2 through 4. 2 and 3. So, David, can you read verses 2 and 3 of chapter 37? Because you had the S. We have secret words that we're going to learn about Joseph from the letters in his name. Yes.
Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. This is the account of Jacob. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers, the son of Bilhah and the sons of his father's wife, and he brought their father a bad report about them.
Okay. Is it Son 16 or...
I said 2 first.
2 and 3.
Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age, and he made a rich ornamental robe for him.
All right, so Joseph was special. His dad thought he was special. He loved him. He said even more than his other sons. Yikes, that's not good. But he made him a special robe, and he was special. So S reminds us that Joseph was special. John Cole, do you want to read verses 4 through 7 of chapter 37? We can even hand you the open Bible if that would help you. 4 through 7. And we'll see if we can learn what our secret word is. Listen for it. Starts with an H.
When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it."
All right. So did anybody hear our special secret word? Hate! Yes, they hated him. His brothers hated him. His father thought he was special, but his brothers, they hated him.
Why does it only have 4?
Because we can, and it tells the story better. Our next is the letter P. What can we learn about Joseph from the letter P?
What does P spell, Mom?
Hang with me. Hang with me. What can we learn about Joseph from the letter P? Joseph, he had dreams. And if you turn the P sideways, it looks like a bed with a pillow. So, Joseph, that is great. Joseph, he had dreams. We heard, as Jonathan read, he had dreams about a sheep that stood up, and his sheep his brother Sheaves bowed down to him. He had another dream where the sun and the moon and the stars all bowed down to him. That means even his mother and father were going to bow down. So he had lots of dreams. And even later in life, we're going to learn about some dreams that Joseph had. So the P reminds us that Joseph had dreams. All right. Very good. So our next letter, which one do you think we'll use next?
J.
Oh, I bet it's O. I shut the Bible. Oh no! Don't do that while you're teaching. That will slow things down. Which, if we have a full looper, that might not be bad. But, so, Joseph. We're going to read. Does it 17 or 18? Okay, yeah. All right, 18 through 20. 27. You read that, Mom? 18 through 27. So see if you can figure out what the O is for.
But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to him.
So pause there. Joseph was going to see his brothers because he was at home wearing a special robe, and they were out in the fields working.
Yeah.
So he was going out to see them.
Okay, but they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Here comes that dreamer, they said to each other. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Let's not take his life, he said. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into this cistern here in the desert, but don't lay a hand on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the richly ornamented robe he was wearing, and they took him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty, there was no water in it.
28.
As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." His brothers agreed. So when the Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt.
All right. Anybody guess what the O is for? Yes, it's the pit that he was thrown in. Oh, Joseph was in the pit. So as you think about teaching this, if you're the teaching person, think about how you're going to do your reading, whether you pass it around and say, ask the kids maybe to pick who they want to read, and they can pick one of the helpers to read, because some of the little kids, and I'm not sure whether the bigger kids even, are going to be adept at reading, comfortable reading. So think of how you're going to do your reading. You'll probably want to have the kids read it, maybe stand up and hold their letter, so they can be involved in the presentation of the information. So O reminds us of the pit that he was thrown in. So this is kind of here's the O. It's kind of the end of the passages. The rest of it, you're going to tell the story based upon other accounts that are shared with him in Genesis. So what happens to him next? What's that?
Me? I'm not confused. What?
So E, E reminds us what happens next. So he goes to Egypt, doesn't he? Okay, so he goes to Egypt, and he is a slave in Egypt. But he worked his way up to be the head of his master's house, put in charge of everything. And then he got accused of something he didn't do, and he got thrown in jail. Ooh, he got thrown in jail. See the jail bars? He's looking out through the jail bars. So he got thrown in jail. So if you look at what Joseph's been through, he was on top of the world. He was special in his father's eyes. And he got thrown in a pit and sold as a slave. And then he worked his way up to be in charge. And then he got thrown in jail again. Oh, he's got such an up and down life, and that's probably how my life and probably how your life goes too, doesn't it? You know, we have hard times and we have good times. But was God with Joseph that whole time? What do you think? Probably so. Let's find out how God was working in Joseph's life. So he was in jail. And then what happened? Oh wait, he was in jail. God turned his life upside down. Because there's not much to the jail. And then he had another dream.
If it was just
He had another dream.
J.
And he interpreted the king's dream. And yes.
Isn't the J supposed to be for Joe?
Yeah, I think so. But they said turn the E sideways, and then he probably could grab the J and talk about his time in jail. He had another dream. He interpreted the king's dream, and he got put in charge of second in command of all of Egypt. And then his brothers
That's when you
came,
put the
and that dream, the first dream, was fulfilled. That is, yeah.
He was a son.
when he gets put in charge, you put the
Oh yes.
bars on the top.
You can put the E on your head as the king. Turn it the other way as a crown. Help her. There we go. He got second in command to the king. He interpreted the king's dream.
See, this is pretty good. Whoever thought this up did
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, so it looks like a crown.
Yeah.
You can make the J as Jacob's son, his father.
That's
Okay.
pretty good stuff.
So
Jacob was his
and Jacob was his father. Could be. So his first dream was fulfilled because his brothers came and they did bow down to him and ask for grain because there was a famine in the land. But Joseph had been wise and stored up grain in Egypt. So that's what we learned about Joseph. And we need to remember, just like with Joseph, God was always with him, even in the hard times. Joseph was faithful to God, and God took care of him. And he'll take care of us too. Isn't that great, boys and girls? Yeehaw! So, that's our story. I actually thought it was pretty cool the way they did that.
This lesson is longer than some of the others.
Yeah, the Bible study story.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like
Yeah, I
that.
think it's-
Dad?
it's
Yeah.
good.
Could you teach that?
Maybe something that we could do is we could have both the little kids and the big kids together for the roast.
Could be, because it's going to be kind of long. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Good idea. It's a genius idea.
Yeah. So